True Story Media.
The Hulu original series, Furious, is coming to Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus July 27th.
There are 3 victims we know of. The suspect is female, white, late 20s.
Female serial killers
Kill for power, control. I believe there's a deeper motivation here.
You have no idea who you're dealing with, and you are going to end up dead.
I've been waiting for you.
Watch the Hulu original series, Furious, on July 27th. Streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself.
Welcome to Fruit Loops, Buiti Binafi, and Bienvenidos Bitches. Thank you so much for listening. Fruit Loops is a true crime, history, and comedy podcast that delves into the often overlooked stories of serial killers of color and, more importantly, the victims. We take deep dives into the lives and crimes of these killers worldwide, while also examining the history, culture, and social factors that may have influenced their actions. And the reason that we cover these crimes is because they often go unnoticed by the public. And why is that? Because in the simplest of terms, the news is racist. Allegedly.
And we are Wendy and Beth. She's Wendy, a Black Latinx woman, and I'm Beth, and I just happen to be white. That's just a little piece of who we are. Another piece is that although we are both fascinated by true crime, really fascinated by true crime, and we know a lot about it, keep in mind that we are not journalists, investigators, or psychologists, and the opinions expressed in this podcast are just that, our opinions. So today we're talking about Clementine Barnabet, who has been called the first female African-American serial killer. The case has also been referred to as the Mulatto Axe murders. All of the victims were, well, I don't know this for sure. Many of the victims were mulattoes or members of families with mixed-race children. Mulatto is an antiquated term. It stems from the word mule and refers to people of mixed race. So it's not actually a nice term, but it was the word that they used back then. Mm-hmm. And the killer was presumed by blacks and the police alike to be selecting victims on the basis of their mixed or tainted blood.
Yes. So this case is also often referred to as the voodoo murders because of an alleged religious motive, but we'll get into that part later. And once again, the murders received little newspaper coverage, and as the years have gone by, few people remember the case.
Yeah, researching this case was super difficult.
I'll say.
Yes, many articles had different dates and years and different spellings of names. I actually saw Clementine spelled Clementine with an I and Clementine with an E.
Yeah.
I don't know which is correct, but I saw Clementine more often, so that's the spelling that I used. Mm-hmm. The actual story is kind of convoluted, and it was difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Ooh.
But
what does that mean?
the good stuff from the bad stuff.
Oh.
It's a biblical term.
Oh.
Come on, get on your Bible, woman.
I've never heard that before.
You never did? Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah,
here's some white people speak.
Yeah. Oh, well. See, I'm learning stuff. We're
Every
all learning
day.
every day. Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right. So it was hard to separate the good stuff from the bad stuff, but we did the best we could to get the correct information.
We did. So, but if you have any information
or,
about this case,
corrections or anything, let us know.
at us, yeah. Or email at us at fruitloopspod@gmail.com.
Yep.
Okay.
So your favorite part now, stats.
Ooh, I love the stats, y'all. I am just like, when I see a number next to people that they killed, I'm like, oh, wow. And okay, beside, on top of the wow, like, wow, how come I never heard about this before? So
Yeah, exactly.
So Miss Barnabet, the newspapers attributed up to 35 killings to Clementine. That's also what she said she was responsible for. Just kidding. No. The newspapers attributed her to 35 killings, and then either by her hand or her instruction, and she personally claimed that she herself murdered 17 of these.
Just a
people.
mere 17.
Yeah, no biggie.
No biggie.
I'm trying to think of 17 things that I've done like in my life, and I can't. That's a lot of to do of anything. Yeah,
laundry for sure.
Yeah. The crimes began in 1909 and ended in 1912. So,
all right. So we wanted to talk about her early life. We didn't have a lot of information. All we know is that she was born around 1894 in St. Martinville, Louisiana, and moved to Lafayette, Louisiana in 1909.
Lafayette. Hamilton fans here. Sorry.
Lafayette. It's one of my favorites.
Me too. Sorry, standing over here for Hamilton.
Okay, back to the story.
Sorry. Okay.
She was born into a two-parent household, lived with her mother and father, Nina Porter, and Raymond Barnabet. Raymond Barnabet was reported to be abusive to his family and very aggressive. And she had one brother, really not sure how to pronounce this, but I'm going to take a stab at it. Zephyrin Barnabet.
That's how I was reading it in my head. So it sounds, that sounds right. So let's get into her criminal history prior to. Well, goose egg there, because we know of no prior criminal history. Some of her neighbors said that she ran the streets and her family was described as filthy, shifty, and degenerate.
Wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful. And I was wondering what these. I'm assuming she lived in a black community.
Yeah, it was a black community, so these were black people saying this. It wasn't. I mean, if it was white people, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But
yeah, that's what I wasn't sure about, because I was like, why are these neighbors?
Who are these neighbors?
Is it Marianne up the street, or is it Lucretia? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I think it was Lucretia.
Okay. Okay.
We're going to get into the timeline. Murders began occurring through a cluster of towns along the Southern Pacific Railroad line in Louisiana and Texas. The first one was on November 11th, 1909 in Rayne, Louisiana. Edna, here's another name. Edna Opelousas.
Yep,
Edna Opelousas. Mm-hmm. And her three children, ranging in age from 4 to 9, were murdered. At 1 a.m., neighbors were awakened by the screams of the children. Several people ran to the house and found Edna dead, her head split open with an axe. Her children had also been attacked about the head with the axe, but were still alive. The bloodied axe was left at the crime scene. The children were given medical care, but all three eventually died of their wounds.
That's a sad one. And the sadness continues.
It does.
On January 31st in 1911 in Crowley, Louisiana, a small town near the Texas border at 605 Western Avenue. Ooh, we got their address?
Yeah. One address.
Walter Byers and his wife and 6-year-old son went to bed as usual. Early the next afternoon, a little girl went to their home on an errand. She found the doors locked and noticed a bad smell. And I was kind of surprised. I didn't know that dead bodies stunk that fast. But
yeah, that's what was reported in the paper. I got this one from a newspaper, so I don't know. It was in Louisiana, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Neighbors then called police and alerted them to the fact that something terrible may have happened. When a police officer arrived at the scene, he found the small family lying in bed with their skulls split open. The bed was drenched in blood, and there were bloody foot tracks on the floor. A wash bowl with bloody water in it, presumably where the murderer had washed their hands, was left on the washstand. Underneath the washstand was a basin half filled with blood. The doors to the house were locked, indicating that the killer had probably come in through a window. There was no evidence of a struggle, indicating that the family had been killed in their sleep. At the head of the bed stood a bloodied axe.
So that was in January. About a month later, in February 1911, in Lafayette, Louisiana. Little more than 4 weeks later. It's right in there.
She was busy. She was busy that winter, huh?
Yeah. The murderer struck again, killing 4 members of the Andrus family. Alexandre Andrus, his wife Mimi, and their children Joachim and Agnes. Joachim was 3 and Agnes was 11 months old. They had been murdered by axe inside the cabin. The bodies of Alexandre and Mimi had been placed by the bedside, propped on their knees, with the woman's arm draped over her husband's shoulders as if in prayer. The baby and the toddler were laid in front of them on the bed. A Dr. Clark reported that the bodies were still warm when they were found, and they placed the time of death around midnight. It was believed that the killer had entered the home through the kitchen door. Police began to suspect that their crimes were similar, and they may have been the work of the same terrible monster. That was a quote from one of the articles.
So just to recap, so this started in November 1909. There's a 2-year gap between 1909 to 1911, and that's when shit gets real.
Yep.
So on March 1911, in San Antonio, Texas, Alfred Lewis and his wife, Elizabeth Lizzie Cassaway, were murdered in a similar fashion. I shouldn't have said that they're married because I don't really know. But they were a family, and they had 3 little children. Lewis was a black man and his wife, a white woman. Oh, they were married. They had to go to Mexico to get married.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go. Since it was against the law in Texas and most of the South, and they had been married for 20 years. I just think that that's so wonderful. Hashtag marriage equality. Lewis was employed at the Grant School for Black Children in San Antonio. The bodies of Cassaway, his wife, and 3 children were found in their home on Olive Street after Louis failed to come into work that day, and a friend stopped by to check in on him and discovered the crime scene and called police.
And in the front room of their small house, Lewis was found lying on a daybed with his daughter Louise, who was 6 years old. Their heads had been crushed by the blunt side of an axe. And oddly, the killer had covered Lewis's face with a piece of cloth. In the next room, officers found Lizzie lying dead in bed with the bodies of the other 2 children. Baby boy, 6 months old, was clutched in his mother's arms, his skull crushed by the axe. Yeah, these kids. Yeah. It's hard. The Cassaway's 3-year-old daughter, Josie, was lying dead across her mother's legs. The police surmised that she had awakened during the murders and had tried to escape. She was struck down before she could climb down from the bed. Lizzie was the most badly disfigured of all of the victims. She had been struck repeatedly with the blunt side of the axe, spraying blood all over the walls of the bedroom.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine because there's a lot of details here about what happened to the kids, and so
babies.
It's really hard to sort of burn that image out of your brain. But we have a job to do, and that is to tell the story, right?
Yep.
So in some articles, this case was linked to other murders, and in some it's not. But the similarities are indeed striking. According to some reports, all of the families were families of mixed race, and law officers surmised that the killer or killers, I strongly believe it was killers, used the rail lines to enter a community and leave undetected.
Amazon Health AI presents Painful Thoughts.
Why did I search the internet for answers to my cold sore problem? Now I'm stuck down a rabbit hole filled with images of alarmingly graphic sores in various stages of ooze. I can clear my search history, but I can never unsee that.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Amazon Health AI gets you the right care fast. Healthcare just got less painful.
In October of 1911, most authorities did consider the possibility of a white killer, but soon ruled that out due to the location of many of the crimes. It was in black neighborhoods, so a white man would probably have been noticed and remembered.
Yeah. If I see, okay, so I kind of live in the hood. And whenever I see a white person in my neighborhood, I assume they are lost. They are auditing somebody, or they're the HOA inspector.
So you notice them.
We do notice them.
Yeah. So police began to focus their investigation on Clementine's father, Raymond Barnabet, who was reportedly a local petty criminal and sharecropper from Lafayette.
Lafayette? Sorry, I
Lafayette.
can't help myself.
Lafayette.
Lafayette. Okay,
back to the
story. Sorry.
Raymond was arrested based on the suspicions of his mistress. After a fight, she'd complained about him to a friend and suggested a possible connection to the murders.
Raymond Barnabet went to trial. Raymond's children, Zephyrin and Clementine Barnabet, testified against their father. And the teenaged Clementine told a graphic story of her father returning home one night with blood on his clothes as he threatened the family. Zephyrin confirmed the story, adding that their father bragged that he killed the whole damn this is okay. So I'm picturing him saying this in a Samuel L. Jackson voice. So, I killed the whole damn Andrews family. Both children said they feared for their life if their father was free. He was found guilty of the Andrus murders on October 24th, 1911. His attorneys...
I wrote 2011. Man, that took a long time.
No, I don't worry. I got you, sis. His attorneys appealed, however, and he was granted a new trial.
So, November 26, 1911, Lafayette, Louisiana. Lafayette.
Sorry. This is a serious show.
I know. We got to add some humor into it because this is hard.
It is a really sad story. Yeah.
When Raymond was in jail, waiting for a new trial, another murder took place. Norbert Randall, his wife, and 3 children, all under the age of 9, and a nephew had been killed with the blunt side of an axe, shattering their skulls. Their bodies were discovered by the family's 10-year-old daughter, who spent the night at her uncle's house. She found the kitchen door open, and when she went inside, she saw her parents and the children in bed murdered. She gave the alarm, and officers went to the scene of the murder to investigate.
The man and wife and little baby girl were found in one bed, and the 3 boys in another, and all had been struck in the head. It was raining, unfortunately, which removed any outside trace of the criminal. The axe that had been used to kill the family was found in the house, washed off. The Lafayette Parish Sheriff, Louis Lacoste, it was clear to him that a killer was still on the loose. Way to go. He was already suspicious of...
Wait, what?
Yeah,
There's a killer on the loose?
Oh my gosh. What's your IQ? He was already suspicious of Raymond Barnabet's children, Clementine and Zephyrin. His suspicions stemmed in part from the fact that they had bad reputations around town, and during Raymond's trial, their neighbors described them as filthy, shifty, and degenerate. And earlier, when police had come to the Barnabet residence to arrest Raymond, blood had been discovered on Clementine's clothes, and she testified during her father's trial that he had wiped the blood there, but the sheriff wasn't so sure. So one thing I am kind of curious about that, I don't know if it's safe to assume, but I'm assuming that the police force is all white.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah, but I have, just from, like, I followed the Freddie Gray case, and so I got really into the Maryland Police Department, and at some point after they ended like slavery, they did allow black people on the police force, but they didn't allow them. They didn't allow them to carry guns. So I'm kind of curious about the makeup, because Louisiana was at the time, and maybe it still is, like the blackest. There was the biggest population of free black people at the time.
Oh wow, I didn't know that
somewhere. So anyway, I was just curious about the police.
Yeah,
what the police makeup
I don't know for sure. I was assuming that they were all white, but it's possible that some of them were black.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
It's
anyway.
possible.
Yeah.
Okay, so November 27th, 1911, it was the day after the Randall murders. Deputies arrested Clementine and searched the family's home. The newspaper, the Daily Picayune, reported on
that name. Sorry. Picayune.
The Daily Picayune. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it.
It is.
Okay.
I lived in New Orleans for a month.
Oh, and that's it. Okay. They reported on November 28th, 1911, that there was a complete suit of women's clothes in Clementine's room, saturated with blood and covered with human brains. Also, a latch on their door was covered in blood. Zephyrin was able to provide an alibi for the night of the murders, but Clementine had none, so she was taken to jail. Clementine alleged that she attended a house of worship called the Sacrifice Church with the Randalls. After being questioned by police, she stated that she killed the family because Norbert Randall refused to follow church orders. After being subjected to what the newspapers called the third degree, she also confessed to murders of the Andrus family back in February, the one that her father had been convicted for. Mm-hmm. She claimed that she had committed those murders with the help of her father. She was arrested and held in custody through the spring of 1912. But the murders didn't stop.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. On January 20th, 1912, in Lake Charles, Louisiana, Felix Broussard, his wife, and their 3 children were murdered in Lake Charles, a town further out along the line through Rayne and Crowley. This was kind of a callback to the Andrus murders for its elaborate staging. If you remember the Andrus murders, that's the one where they posed the mother and father.
Oh, like they were praying.
Yeah.
Over the baby.
So the Broussards were found laid out across the sheets, each skull crushed by the blunt end of the axe. The weapon itself was left under the bed.
The scene was strangely bloodless, as the victim's blood had been collected in a bucket. Their hands were splayed open, and each finger had been separated and held apart with wooden pins and rolled up pieces of paper. So it was like a high five, but there was like pieces of paper stuck in between to hold
their fingers to hold the hands, to hold the fingers out.
It was like a jazz hand, but
it was like jazz hands.
Fabulous.
Yes, way less fabulous.
Yes. So, written on the wall was a biblical passage from Psalm 9, which is not the coolest psalm. I don't know why they used it, but when he maketh the inquisition for blood, he forgetteth not the cry of the humble. The message was signed Human 5. The number in the signature led police to think a band of murderers was at work, and that's what I think too. And it also lent the group a nickname picked up by the press, the Human 5 Gang. Now, if I had a gang...
The Human 5 would not be my choice.
That's not my first choice. That doesn't sound scary or cool or
it sounds like a band or something.
Like the Maroon 5.
Maroon 5 or the Jackson 5.
This love has taken its toll. Okay. Sorry, we're having too much fun and this is a sad show.
I think we have to.
Okay.
So anyway, the Human 5 Gang.
Human 5 Gang, yeah.
So the newspaper seized on the idea that the murders were connected to a voodoo ritual. One of the first to take that angle, the El Paso Gazette, published a story on the Broussard murders titled "Voodoo's Horrors Break Out Again." The story suggested the crimes were connected to human sacrifice, which, that they're just pulling this out of their ass.
They really have no idea. And we'll get into
that.
Yeah.
So they allege that it was a human sacrifice that took place as part of a voodoo ritual and emphasized the idea of the number 5 as somehow having ritualistic relevance. They said, and this is a quote, 2 months ago, 6 members of the Wexford family perished at the hands of the fanatics, but one was an infant that had been born only the day before the tragedy, and in all probability had not been taken into consideration when the plans for the human sacrifice were consummated. The reporter for the paper also wrote, now comes the Broussard tragedy with its 5 victims, thus completing a series of sacrifices of 5 separate families, each evidently intended to have 5 victims. And these numbers were not even accurate.
Okay, so El Paso Gazette, you can have several seats. Get your life together and get your facts straight. Okay. It doesn't end with the El Paso Gazette. Here we go. The El Paso Gazette was one of many to run the voodoo angle. After their story hit newsstands, several local papers also printed the possibility that the murders were connected to voodoo. Oh, bullshit. Around the same time, there were rumors that Clementine was the leader of some kind of cult called the Church of Sacrifice, which was supposedly led by Reverend King Harris, a Pentecostal revival preacher with a small congregation connected to the Christ Sanctified Holy Church. Police took Harris in for interrogation, but the Reverend had never heard of the Church of Sacrifice and was visibly shaken to think that his sermons could have possibly inspired a series of axe murders. By the way, so I grew up in Pentecostal church.
Oh, did you?
Oh my God, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I currently am borderline atheist, and I think that my days in the Pentecostal church might have something to do with it. So
yeah.
I think it's also important to define voodoo because these dumbfuck newspapers like the El Paso Gazette didn't know what it was.
Oh, no, they hear voodoo and they're like, oh, voodoo, ah.
Yeah, and so let me, I Googled the definition. I had what in my heart I felt was a definition, but
it's always good to double check.
I wanted to double check. So since this is a podcast about people of color and voodoo is a religion practiced by Black and brown people all over the world, it has West African roots. And guess what? When enslaved people were taken from their homes and brought to the Americas, they brought their religion too. What? Get out of here. So voodoo is a religion practiced by the African diaspora in places like the Caribbean and the southern United States, combining elements of Roman Catholic ritual and traditional magical and religious rites and characterized
from the African religions.
Yes, from the African religions. You got it. And characterized by sorcery and spirit possession. But the essence of voodoo is that it is a spiritual folkway, and it's passed down from generation to generation via oral tradition and the modeling of rituals and routine spiritual practices.
What is a folkway?
I imagine that folkway is kind of like folklore, only folklore is what people talk about and folkway is how people live.
Gotcha,
I could be wrong, but you know
something like that.
You know what? Email me. Email us.
Let us know all about
Let us
voodoo.
know how terrible we are. Yeah.
Okay, so that's voodoo. And then on January 23rd, 1912, Marie Warner and her 3 children were found slain in a 2-room house in Crawley, Louisiana. All 4 had been killed with an axe found in the house. Again, same MO. The children were named Pearl. She was 9 years old. Gary, a boy age 7, and Harriet, a girl age 5. Marie had been separated from her husband for about 4 years, and it was believed that he was living in Beaumont. It was a little before noon when Harriet Crane, Marie's mother, called around at the house, but received no answer. She went across the street to ask a neighbor where her daughter was, but the neighbor didn't know. The 2 went back to the house together and found the back door open, but both were afraid to enter. They must have known something was wrong. And finally, they found a man to help them, and he went into the house and found the remains of the 4 occupants lying on a bed in the front room.
The house in which the family lived was divided into 2 apartments, one in the front facing the street and the other in the back. There is an entrance both in the front and in the back, and it is believed that the murderer came in through the back, as the back door was found open when the investigation was made. From the evidence, it appears that at least some of the occupants were killed in the back room, and then their bodies were moved to the front room. All 4 were lying across the bed, face downward, in the front room. There was no indication of a struggle, and it is supposed they were killed in their sleep.
I hope so.
I hope so too. A blood-stained axe was found in the room where the dead bodies were discovered.
Sometime after the Warner murders, which we just went over, a Wexford family was murdered, 6 in total, including an infant, but I could not find any information on this family. It was mentioned in a newspaper article. Mm-hmm. They mentioned the infant, they mentioned the Wexford family, but I couldn't find any other information, so I apologize. But it happened sometime after the Warner murders.
Okay.
And then on February 19th, 1912, Beaumont, Louisiana, the Dove family was murdered. They were Hattie Dove, who was the mother, the matriarch of the family. Her son, Ernest Dove, aged about 14 years. Her daughter, Ethel Dove, about 16. And her daughter, Jessie Quirk, who was aged about 18 years. Jessie was married, but separated from her husband and living with her mother. And her mother was separated from her husband, so they were all living together there. Mm-hmm. And a man who worked nights boarded at the home and presumably was not home when this happened because he was working. The family was seen stirring in the home on Sunday about 9:30. I've put 9:30 o'clock.
Got all the bases covered.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. So, about 9:30 in the evening, they were seen doing stuff in their house. And then shortly before 7 o'clock the next day, and I'm not clear if it was 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the evening. I was thinking it was 7 o'clock in the morning.
Me
but
too.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know for sure. But a neighbor came to the house and discovered the bodies. The axe with which the crime was committed was left in the room. Near it was a bloody cloth, which was presumed to have been used to wipe the murderer's hands. The axe was found to be, this one's kind of weird, the axe was found to be the property of a man who lived about 2 blocks from the scene of the murder. It had been taken from his yard, and another axe was left in its place.
That's weird.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, what the...
Yeah. Why don't you just leave that guy's axe alone, guys?
Axe. Yeah, maybe it wasn't sharp enough. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if you're like killing people with an axe. I guess nothing makes sense. Absolutely nothing makes sense.
I know. You know what? That's the answer.
That's the answer. Just nothing makes sense. So just do whatever.
It's whatever. I got a case of the fuckets. The bodies of Hattie Dove and her 3 children were left piled almost naked on the bed, each one slaughtered by axe blows to the head. It appeared that Hattie had put up a fight and there were signs of a struggle. According to the Beaumont Enterprise, ooh, what a name for a publication. Furniture, yes, very official. Furniture had been overturned and the bedclothes had been torn from the bed, while blood was everywhere. Up to 3:30 this afternoon, the officers had not been able to find the slightest clue to the murderer or murderers. One thing I did want to mention is if this had happened in 2018, this person would have been done caught.
Yeah.
Leaving the weapon at every scene.
Every scene.
On, bruh.
There was probably DNA everywhere. Fingerprints, everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, okay. It is believed the crime was committed last night after the family had gone to sleep. The tracks in the backyard led to the belief that more than one person was implicated in the crime, but this is merely a matter of conjecture. The premises were being carefully guarded, and it is stated that the officers will send for a pack of bloodhounds Black people get scared at the idea of bloodhounds because they
I get scared too, man.
They hunt you down when you run away from the plantation, and then they.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't.
They're not
make
very
that connection.
friendly.
I was just like, if a dog's chasing me, I'm scared shitless.
So this is for the culture. And I don't have this belief personally. I love dogs, and I think that dogs, if you raise them nice, dogs will be nice.
Yep.
But there is a theory that I have heard that some dog breeds are racist. Let me explain. So bloodhounds, because they chase down slaves back in the day, so black people, I've heard say that bloodhounds are racist. And then also during the civil rights movement, German shepherds were used to control black crowds, and so there's the idea that
German shepherds
are also racist. So anyway, I just had to throw that one out there for the culture.
I had no idea. But it makes sense. I mean, yeah. Dogs can be really scary.
Dogs can be
really scary.
Yes, and you and I are both pit bull owners, and I know. I have been bitten by pit bulls that I don't own, so I understand the fear.
And pit bulls in particular can be really scary. Like just their bark is scary, how they look. Mm-hmm. But my pit bull is a big fat weenie.
Mine too.
He's scared of squirrels.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Squirrels.
Yeah, I took him camping, and he was just terrified. He was like, "Take me home. This place is nuts. I just want to go home.
I just can't even." Your dog. How funny.
He was like shivering. The squirrels were like chittering in the woods, and every time they would chitter, he would shiver. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You know what though is, well, I mean, you can't live in South Phoenix without having a pit bull. A big dog, yeah, because she's our family pet, but she's also a deterrent for crime, and she keeps our house safe.
And because they are scary, like just their bark and everything is so scary.
Yeah. Plus, they are really smart dogs. I mean, they're from a working class breed of dogs, so they like to work. They like to have a job. They're terriers, so they really do serve a purpose, and I think that makes the doggies happy
they're very sweet.
Yes, they are.
They really are.
Yes, they are. And they, my pit bull sleeps in my kids' beds. I mean, she's the best. So, but anyway, some people think the dogs are racist. So
interesting. Never heard that before.
So, blah blah blah. Matter of conjecture. The premises are being carefully guarded, and it is stated that the officers will send for a pack of bloodhounds to put a trail in the hope of running down the murderer.
And that was from the Beaumont Enterprise.
In my biggest asshole Charleston Southern voice. The Beaumont Enterprises.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay, so on March 26, 2012, right, there I go again. March 26, 1912, Glidden, Texas, Ellen Monroe, her 4 children, and a lodger, possibly also her lover, given that they shared the same bed, Lyle, and here we go again with the name, Funankune, something like that.
Yeah.
Lyle, they were murdered in their beds. According to the Nesbitt Memorial Library Journal, the bodies were found at 7 a.m. by Monroe's 5th child, Parthenia, who lived with her grandmother.
I like that name, by the way.
Parthenia. I've never heard that one before.
I haven't either. That's why I like it.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
On April 2nd, 1912, Clementine gave a confession, and the reporter was Mr. R.H. Broussard, who was a reporter for the New Orleans Item.
It's a fairly lengthy confession with a lot of detail, so we won't read the whole thing, but we will link it in our show notes so you can read it if you want to. But in it, she claimed that she and some acquaintances, 2 men and 2 women, met with a voodoo priest who sold them conjas, and by that she meant hoodoos. Can you explain what they are, Wendy?
Hoodoos, so a hoodoo is a spell. So hoodoo is to cast a spell or bewitch someone or to be enchanted.
So these were magical, enchanted things.
Yeah, like extra blessings so that they could get away with murder.
Yeah. So what they were supposed to do was give them the power to do as they pleased and not get caught.
Mm-hmm. They hadn't thought to do any murders when they brought the hoodoos or when they bought the hoodoos, but while discussing what they might be able to do with them, they wondered if they could get away with murder. So they decided to try it. And they drew lots, and Clementine drew the first one, and so she was chosen to commit the first murder. She claims she went to Rain dressed as a man and committed the first murders.
She then returned to Lafayette and told her acquaintances what had happened, and they watched with interest to see if she would get caught. When she was not, they decided that the hoodoos were working. She then told of how they had killed the family at Crawley, explaining every detail. She claimed that the children were killed so that they would not suffer as orphans.
Oh, round of applause for Clementine. Thank you.
How nice.
Yeah, how nice of her. When she described the Andrews family murder, she claimed that she was near the house when the bodies were found, and she interjected herself into the drama. What a bitch. Stating that she went to the parents' house to notify them of what happened, and that she even helped to prepare the bodies for burial.
Clementine was asked by the reporter if there had been any agreement made not to tell on one another, and she said that there had been such an agreement made, but she wanted to tell her own part of it to clear her conscience.
Oh, she has one.
Yeah, theoretically. She gave the names of her accomplices to police officers, but all of that information was proven as fabrications. Sheriff Lacoste and deputies followed up every possible clue, hoping to completely solve the mystery of the murders.
Clementine's confession was received with varying degrees of belief. Yeah, you're telling me. It was difficult to keep Clementine's story straight. Yes, she had previously testified in court that her father was the man behind the murders, but they kept happening after he was jailed. She gave names of her accomplices, but when Sheriff Lacoste investigated them, they went nowhere. Several arrests were made, but the search for the rest of the Human 5 gang.
Human 5 gang.
Yeah. Yeah, we're the Human 5s.
Human 5.
We're the Human 5
We're the Human 5.
I know, and then they're like throwing up gang signs, but it's just jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
We're the Human 5. It was a dead end. Oh my gosh. The district attorney, Howard E. Bruner, theorized that some of these murders were copycat crimes, but he believed that Clementine was a moral pervert who was guilty of everything she confessed to. By the way, Clementine admitted to caressing some of the corpses after she had killed them, regardless of their gender or age.
Clementine was indicted by a grand jury, and then on April 5th, the next day, she told police that Joseph Thibodeau, the voodoo doctor...
Wait a minute, the Canadian Prime Minister? Just kidding.
No, this is Joseph. Okay.
Sorry,
Thibodeau. He is the voodoo doctor, not the Prime Minister of Canada. He gave her the idea for the murders. This is terrible.
I know.
Okay. I'm going to try to be serious now. And then she made a full confession to the police. The other confession was to a reporter. So she made a full confession to the police admitting to 17 murders. Her motives for the crimes, however, have never been made clear.
Yeah, I'm still kind of scratching my head about that. I think the voodoo thing is kind of a lame excuse.
Bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah. So on April 12th, 1912, in San Antonio, Texas, William Bartone, his wife and 2 children, and his brother-in-law, Leon Avers, were found murdered. The crime scene was similar to those in Crowley, Lafayette, and Rain. Authorities believed it to be the work of the same killer or killers. They began to note a geographical pattern to the crimes. Well, shout out to police work, right? Since November 1911, authorities noticed that the killer or killers had been striking at stops along the Southern Pacific Railroad line. This made it simple for the ex-murderer to anonymously travel from town to town, always out of sight and one step ahead of the authorities. In those days, it was fairly easy to hop on a freight train. I've seen it in movies.
April 21st, 1912, Zephyrin Barnabet, Clementine's brother, confessed that he and his father killed the Andrus family. He said that Clementine and a man named Ute Thomas, Ute Thomas's son Darman, and another woman acted as accessories to the crime. Raymond Barnabet was rearrested, and Ute Thomas and his son were arrested. Now, this part confused me a little bit.
How come?
Like, why did Zephyrin confess? Did they
That's interesting.
bring him in? And, like, was it one of those things where they're, like, beating him until he was like, okay, I did it. My dad did it. Everybody did it, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not clear on exactly what happened.
I was kind of wondering the same, like, why would he confess?
All of a sudden, he's like, April 21st, 2012, Zephyrin Barnabet confessed. You know, like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, where did the confession come from? Because I just have to bring this up about false confessions. What comes to mind is there's this police chief in Chicago, and from like the 70s to the 90s, his police department was responsible for the torturing of specifically black dudes, and they would take them to the train tracks in Chicago. What are those cattle? I think they're called cattle prods. And they would put them on black dudes' genitals and force them to confess to crimes that they didn't commit. And the black dudes would just confess to get the torture over with.
And you know what? It doesn't even have to be that much torture. People confess because they're fucking tired.
Yeah.
The police keep them up for 24 hours.
Yeah.
They're tired and they're just like, fuck it. I did it. Let me get out of here.
Yeah. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I just want to go home. And
it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. I mean, we all saw Making a Murderer,
We all saw
right?
Making the Murderer.
You saw what happened to little Brandon. Come on.
Yeah, poor guy. So, yeah, it happens. And I kind of wonder if that was the situation here. Because, like, all of a sudden, he's like,
where
he
did
confesses.
this confession come from?
Boom, he confesses.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Later, on August 20th, 1912, in San Antonio, Texas, the Dashiell family was attacked. Miss Dashiell woke to the blinding pain of an axe cutting through her arm. The assailant had been aiming for her head, but had somehow missed and struck her arm instead. As Mrs. Dashiell began to scream, Mr. Dashiell awoke and fired a shot at the attacker. Yes! The attacker fled from the scene of the house, and Mrs. Dashiell was unable to give any sort of coherent description.
But they survived.
Good for them. Yeah, they're alive. And with that, the 15-month murder spree came to an end. It's time for the trial. I wish we had a Law and Order sound effect. Oh well.
Dun dun
dun dun.
So on October 24th, 1912, Clementine Barnabet was taken to trial. She was tried for the Randall murders only, probably because that was the crime where they found the dress that had the blood and the brains on it. And they probably didn't have evidence for anybody else.
Okay.
But anyway, court records for her trial were summarized and published by the Federal Writers Project in 1942. And their account makes plain that there was a great deal of public confusion regarding the details of the case, even at the time. So even at the time, it was really confusing, and it's even more confusing now.
Still confused.
Still confusing. For one thing, there was probably never a church of sacrifice, as the papers had said. Reverend Harris had preached in Lafayette the night of the Randall murders, but otherwise uninvolved. According to the Federal Writers Project, a state of confusion existed in the public mind regarding the sacrifice church, the existence of which has never been established, and Harris's the sanctified church. It's possible that the word sanctify and sanctified were confused with sacrifice after the voodoo cult rumors began to be spread, and that the misinformation was spread from there.
But the voodoo damage had already been done. The Lafayette population was willing enough to place the blame on a nebulous voodoo priestess committing murder while leading a sacrificial sect. It didn't help that Clementine had named a voodoo priest who had given the invisibility charm to her, Joseph Thibodeau, not Justin Trudeau. She said that he also gave her the ideas for the crimes, but Thibodeau swore that had never happened, and that far from being a voodoo priest, he simply engaged in root-based medicine. One local paper explained to its readers that Thibodeau has ever been regarded as peaceful in disposition and harmless in intention, and said he was noted for the practice of conjuring warts away. Hey!
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people who practice any kind of unusual medicine, or, especially back then, there was a lot of natural medicine kind of, you use herbs and, whatever. And people, Christians, think it's just satanic. They're just like, go automatically to Satan, just straight to Satan. You're using herbs. You're on
it must be
you're
the
on
devil.
the railroad to Satan.
It must be the devil. And also, I have to point out too that if this was a Black community, people in this community probably didn't have access to hospitals and health care. Like, they couldn't just go to the white hospital. Like, they would probably just bleed out in the waiting room and die. So people like these witch doctors are probably very necessary in little communities.
Yeah,
like
and there are herbs that do help. And, they're not going to cure you of cancer, but, they do help. And some of our drugs are based on herbs and things
totally.
that, So, despite investigators' suspicions regarding Clementine's confession, the stories about her continued to circulate. While she sat in jail, she confessed to a total of 35 murders. But she kept retelling the story with different details that made it really hard to know what the truth was. In court, she allegedly said other families been marked for death and would pay the sacrifice.
Let's see. Well, I'm going to give a description of the trial from one account, and this is from the realcrimedaily.com. And according to their article, the trial took place at the Lafayette Parish Courthouse. There was a sensational article written about the trial in the Ohio Mahoning Dispatch that recalled, with screams of hysterical laughter, the girl rocked back and forth in the witness chair, her great eyes rolling into the back of her head, barely any pupil showing. Amidst sharp commands from the court and quick questioning of the prosecutor, the woman told of how, because the Randall family had refused to obey the church orders, she had crept upon their cabin late on Sunday night with a keen-edged axe concealed in the folds of her cotton wrapper. She told of how, after she had thrown open the door of the tiny cabin, she crept upon the sleeping husband and wife, and before either could arouse, had split their skulls in twain. Maybe in two?
In twain, I think that's probably what it said, but it's like antiquated.
Oh, see, girl, I don't understand. I don't really understand these words. Twain with her death-dealing implement. She told how the 4 children on the floor started to cry out, and how stealthy tread she approached their trundle beds and, swinging her axe, killed 2 with 1 blow, and then lay about her with quick swings, hacking the bodies of the 2 remaining children until they were scattered in bits about the room. As she completed the awful tale, she rocked to and fro, and then said, "And Judge, that ain't all either."
So that what you just read, the article, I think that has to be like yellow journalism. It has to be like not true. Like just exaggerated, because the kids weren't hacked into pieces, as far as I know.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that anywhere other than in that article.
Right.
But I also didn't see many accounts of details of what happened in the courtroom. So
yeah.
That's why I
oh yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that that's what the article said. You know, they liked their true crime back then too.
Isn't that a trip?
Yeah.
How even just
they
since the
did.
beginning of time, true crime has captivated everybody. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, so anyway, in that article, the girl continued to tell of how when a family by the name of Andrus, living in an isolated section of the parish near the Mississippi River, had refused to obey the message from God, supposed to be the utterings of a voodoo doctor who had been seen in this district, she, with other religiously crazed fanatics, went to the Andrus cabin in the dead of night, and there, with axes, hacked the sleeping members, 4 in number, to pieces, ending their bloody orgy with weird prayers and incantations.
I feel like I've seen an episode of this on that American Horror Story
American
show.
Horror Story.
Okay, so on October 25th in 1912, her defense attorneys claimed that she was insane, but she stood trial, was found guilty of the Randall murders, and she was sentenced to life at Louisiana Penitentiary. Oh my God. She went to prison at the age of 19.
In Louisiana.
Yeah, okay.
So Clementine Barnabet was sentenced to life in prison at Angola State Penitentiary, which is the Louisiana Penitentiary.
Ooh, it's a bad one. Oh, I know. But even now, I heard just awful things about that prison.
Angola, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I've heard rotten things about Louisiana, too. Anyway.
Hot take alert, Beth.
In July of 1913, she tried to escape jail, but was caught before she even made it to the gate. Despite her escape attempt, she was considered a model prisoner. She didn't, however, serve very long. According to one brief report about the prison, Clementine received a procedure, which we don't know what that was.
Yeah.
That was said to have restored her to her normal condition and which allowed her to be released on good behavior after serving 10 years. In August 1923, Clementine Barnabet walked out of prison and was never seen or heard from again. In the news, I suppose.
Yeah.
Somebody probably heard about her.
Yeah, somebody knew it. Yeah.
But the procedure, I was wondering if it was a lobotomy.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it was too. I mean, I don't know what kind of mental health medicine they were administering to people at the time, but
yeah, I don't remember exactly what time period it was, but there was a time when lobotomies, well, they were experimental for a while, and then they were like giving out lobotomies like medicine, you know.
And that's where they cut out a part of your brain?
They actually basically take an ice pick and stick it through your, not like your eye, but like through your eye socket, and stick it into your brain and kind of wiggle it around.
Okay. Do they still do those?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But, you know, what happens is people become very docile. Mm-hmm. It cuts a part of the brain that I'm not a scientist, so I don't know exactly, but it can cause you to have very little emotion anymore.
Oh.
So like a lot of people who have lobotomies, they don't feel much of anything anymore. And so if they have anger issues, then that kind of takes care of that.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess at least you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, but they were doing it to like anybody who had emotional problems and like teenagers, and you know, they thought it was a cure-all, and what it did was turn these people into zombies.
That's terrible. Well,
I know.
Well, thank goodness we've evolved in
Yes.
the medical community. So, what about Clementine's story is real, and what is a media fabrication? The evidence found in her room and the brain matter on her clothes suggests that Clementine did commit some murders, but maybe not all of them. Dr. Jeff Anderson, a history professor at the University of Louisiana, Monroe, has said that either Clementine or someone in her house performed the majority of these murders, but that her confessions are so contradictory. I don't think she committed all the murders that she says she did. The question of Barnabet's accomplices and whether or not they were a part of some kind of voodoo cult has never really been answered. But I'm pretty satisfied that had something to do with it. That's just
okay. There was so much confusion about what was really going on, and the press did not help at all. The New York Times in March 1912 indicated that there was great fear in the black communities of the region, and there was. Mm-hmm. But in their article, they then focused on what the impact on the grain crops would be because of this fear, and discussed the possibility of a sacrifice cult, and then spent some time exploring the belief that a cult had not been the initial cause of the killings, but was a factor now. So get a load of the title of this article. Ready?
Yeah, extra, read all about it.
Negro terror may shorten rice crops. I don't care about these people dying. What we care about is the rice crops.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. Time and place, I guess. Maybe that was the sentiment of, but I'm sure that, I don't know, economy is everything. Money is everything in America. And so like anything that's going to affect these crops, I can understand the white community's frustration, but hello, these are people. Oh, good grief. The ignorance of voodoo, hoodoo, and alternate religious customs added to the problem. The crimes were not viewed as seriously as they might and were clearly only a danger to the black population. No biggie, they're just Negroes. Religious crank killing Negroes. That was the headline in the Oklahoman, February 20th, 1912. Golly, these publications and their greatest hits.
I know. So it was a spectacle, but, the people were just like, oh, religious cranks are killing Negroes. Oh, well. Wonder what's going on with the rice crops.
Jesus. Most likely, if Clementine's race or class had been different, we'd be closer to knowing the truth. Amen?
That's a fact. Mm-hmm. Moving on. Strangely enough, there was more than one set of axe murderers terrorizing Louisiana around the same time.
What?
Nearby, the infamous Axeman of New Orleans was at work.
No, I did see that on American Horror Story.
Yeah, and those killings have never been solved. And several decades earlier, a killer sometimes called the Servant Girl Annihilator committed several axe murders in 1880s Austin, Texas. And those crimes have also never been solved.
That's so nuts.
I know.
Maybe there's a cold case file out there that somebody could open up. As for the other players in the story, Clementine's family and supposed accomplices, we couldn't find much information about what happened to them. We do know that Raymond Barnabet was arrested, tried, and convicted. We don't know what happened after that. Zephyrin Barnabet, the brother, was arrested, but we are not sure what his fate was. What made Clementine snap?
Yeah, the easy answer is we don't know. When she was 17, she allegedly joined a cult called the Church of Sacrifice, which prompted the start of the murders that she committed. But some people say that the church never actually existed. However, she claimed that a priestess of the Church of Sacrifice had given her and her accomplices conjure bags that would grant them supernatural powers and make them undetectable to the authorities. She claimed that this spurred her into committing her first murder to test whether or not this was true.
The killer seemed to target people of mixed race, and notably a number of white women who were either married to or in relationships with black men. According to some, the motive for the killings revolved around a verse from the New Testament, Matthew 3:10, and now also the axe is laid unto the root of the trees. Therefore every tree which bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
But given the lack of real information that we have about Clementine, we will probably never know.
So, what's your takeaway, Beth?
Well, this was a super confusing story with lots of misinformation or confusing information. It's hard to know exactly what happened, what's true, what's not true. I think a lot of these murders were actually committed by someone else. The Axeman of New Orleans, for example. He was never identified, he or she, given the story.
Yeah.
Or someone else entirely who literally got away with murder unscathed.
Yeah.
These axe murders were all happening around the same time, and they kept happening even after Clementine was in jail.
Oh.
It's weird that all the murders are so similar. Whole families annihilated with an axe. That tends to make you think that they were done by the same person or persons.
Yeah.
And I would actually tend to think that she didn't do any of them, except for the blood evidence that was found in her home. And also, during the course of my research, I learned that the choice of an axe as a murder weapon was actually not all that uncommon at the time. In those days, an axe was often used, especially in cases of domestic murder, because nearly every family had one, since wood had to be split for cooking and heating, and so it often became a weapon of convenience.
Wait a minute, Beth. You don't think she did any of them?
I mean, the blood evidence suggests that she did, but if not for that, I would tend to think she didn't. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think she got kind of a kick out of the notoriety.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not sure that she might have done some of them, and the blood evidence suggests that she did. Or her father did them and she got blood on her dress from her father or something. But I think she enjoyed the notoriety. I mean, she was nobody, and all of a sudden she's getting all this attention. So
yeah, but
I don't know.
Not good attention.
No, but some people like any kind of attention, especially she did not have a very good
reputation,
family life.
Yeah.
And upbringing. I mean, it sounded like her home life was not that great, and she was kind of abused. And, you know, sometimes people with upbringings like that will take any attention that they can get.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay.
So, yeah, I just think it's so hard to tell what happened just because it was so long ago and all the information is so confusing. I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. Let me tell you what I thought when I first read this story. I was like, man, is there like a axe Costco around? Because so an axe and everybody has an axe. But yeah, it makes sense when you look at the time and the place. I am pleasantly surprised at how the police eventually actually investigated the crimes, but we found out from those hot take headlines that it was because of the money that could have been lost. But these were crimes, and the victims were people of color and communities of color. And I was surprised pleasantly that police didn't just seem to try to pin the murder on the murders on the first Black person that they came across. There was an investigation and a trial, and all that sounds like it's in line with, our justice system. So it's on paper, it's fair. Clementine got a trial, and so did her dad. But one thing to point out is that the juries were probably not made up of their peers. Black people were not allowed to serve on juries or testify against white people. Also,
they weren't allowed to testify against white people?
Okay, so let me preface this. I did not confirm that, but that was my understanding, is that Black people could not testify against white people at the time. I have no idea when that changed. Maybe it was around this time. I don't know. But I do know that that was a thing in our justice system at one point. Also, at the top of my mind is that, and I don't know how this exactly plays into the story, but the Emancipation Proclamation was established ending slavery just 44 years prior. So that's not, life in the South was, for lack of a stronger word, difficult in so many ways for these quote unquote free Black people. And I suspect that Black people were consistently on their guard, and, you know, you could suffer violence at the hands of dangerous white people or get popped for a crime you didn't commit. Also, I thought, if she is the first known Black female serial killer, why isn't there a movie about her yet?
Yeah, there could be a pretty good movie about her.
Yeah, for sure. Come through,
all
Taraji
these
P. Henson.
crazy details, voodoo and whatnot.
Oh, I know. I think this could be our next Black Panther. I just wish there was more information out there about the victims and the her and the whole story.
I agree. I wish it
clear.
wasn't so confusing.
Yeah. So, and that's all I got. All right, Beth, where can the people find us?
Our website is fruitloopspod.com, and we use Fruit Loops Pod for all of our social media. The footnotes for each episode can be found on our website. Plus, check it out for the different ways that you can support the show. You can also join us on Patreon, where we have hundreds of hours of bonus content. You can also support us by supporting our sponsors, or by giving us a 5-star review.
5 stars only, please.
Also, don't forget to subscribe.
That's right. Now, this is a weekly podcast, and episodes drop on Thursdays. So until next time, look alive, y'all. It's crazy out there.